Welcome to Teching It Up with Mark. Today we're going over the very basic for picker controls. So if you have some experience with this already, this video might not be for you, but if you're new to K2, this is definitely for you. Stay tuned. Thanks. So here I am in Designer, and I'm going to open up a new view. Say test lookup controls camel cased, and we'll just use an item viewer now. We'll just create a blank table, and over here on the left side we have several input controls. Now several of these are lookup list, which means we'll start off with a dropdown. Here we could either fill this out with static data, or we can put in our own selections from a smart object, retrieve those values from a smart object. So first we'll start with the static data example. So right now I haven't done anything with this control. And if I run this in runtime, there's nothing here to select. If I want to add some values to it, I could add static values by clicking this use a list of static values. And here I have an option to add the value and display. I actually have to add both. So we'll say 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. If I click OK, OK, sorry, save that, run it again. I now can see the display values that I have here. Now, important to note here that we would actually save the values, not the display there, and we can repopulate that with it. Let's do a small example of that. So we'll put in a dropdown a data label. We'll call this show values. And in here, we'll make an expression. Well, actually, we'll do this with a transfer data. So when this dropdown is changed, the action will be transfer data. Select transfer. And we'll transfer the value from the dropdown list. We could do this by either selecting the whole control, or we could actually go through items, value, and select that. And put that, not back into our dropdown list, but into our other. See, if I scroll over this, this is dropdown list, value. It will say the value here, but it will be mapped to the same thing. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that. Save, refresh, select something, we see that there. As we do use these hard-coded values every once in a while. If it makes things more simple, I just go ahead and do it. We don't always want to look up for that. But this isn't the most common scenario. The more common scenario is to get that information from a lookup somewhere, so from another smart object. I created in SQL a table for movie genre here. So this is just a simple database with a table with an ID, genre, and description. Values provided by ChatGPT. And I created a smart object for that, which I will show. Just run that. So this was in SmartForms Very Basics. And I put this in Manage Metadata, genre. And if I actually use the list method here, I see what I could see in the drop-down list. So let's use that. Let's map that here. I have the control selected. So I have the data source here. And instead of use a static list of values, this time I'm going to use a smart object as data. I'll choose the smart object that I just chose there. For genre, the method is list. The value is ID. So that will be the value if we pull the control there. And then we also can configure this show items from the selected. So I would probably want to have genre there, but I could also use genre description if I want. So we'll do this. I don't think the formatting is going to look so well. We'll click OK. We broke our rule that we had last time, but it still should work almost equally the same. Let's see. Drop down list field. Wow, that's going to be a surprise for a minute here. Save that. I'm going to refresh. I see all the things from my list. I have, when I select this, I have the value of 8. Now what we can do, which I wasn't able to do with the static values, is also get other properties here, such as the display value, and use that. So I'm back in my rule for this drop-down list, and then this transfer data. Instead of this field value, whatever it is, I'm going to expand the control, and now I have the smart object here, and I could use any property that I have there. So we'll use genre, description, there. Let's make sure this works. I see that there. Okay. So if we had a number of fields for this smart object, we could use all the fields there for the selected one. Now, what happened when I added this here? Something happened in the background. So if I go to rules, I have a new rule here, the initialize, and then it automatically put this rule in for me. When the drop-down list, then populate the drop-down list on initialize of the form. So in here, I could see some of the same configuration that I had before. It's a little bit confusing with that because there's two places where you could do the same thing. Now for metadata, we should always make this asynchronous. So the whole form's not waiting for this data, because we could have many lookup list, drop down list, whatever, that are referring to smart objects. So we don't want to wait for the whole form for that. And what we can do also here in this configuration is add a filter. So if we wanted where genre not equals horror, do we have not starts with? Yeah, we could do that. Or we'll do action since at the top of the list. And we could also sort that. I don't have a sort column here. I would just do this alphabetically, but we could do that if we have an additional column for sort, which is sometimes quite nice. So I'll refresh this. Should look pretty much the same. We should have no, action in the list. Yes, no action in the list. And yeah, that's a very simple way to do this. So one other example I want to do is maybe a cascading list of data. So I don't, for lookups, there's a few type of controls that are lookup. So I used to drop down here, but this is already kind of a lot of items for a drop down list. We could also use a few different types. So I will use here a multi-select, and here I will put in movies for the type for the smart object. So this will be once again in the same folder that we had before. Movie. And we want to put the title in. And we'll put something else in here just to show this ability. And director. Save that. Refresh. And now we also have all our movies here in a multi-select where we can pick all of them if we want to. This also works the same for a choice control and a checkbox list. I believe are the only ones. So great. We have the list of genre, and then we have a list of movies, but right now these are not connected at all. There's a couple ways we can do this. Oh, and also to mention, another rule was added to populate this multi-select. So I'll put that in there. And I'm just going to take out this configuration, this filter here. Just go remove all. Okay. So the next common scenario we want to do is filter this list of values based off of another choice. So if somebody selects documentary, it should only select documentary here. Typically in this scenario, wrong rule, I would disable this multi-select populate, but we'll leave that here for an example. And here in the drop-down list, if it's changed, I would execute another rule or populate another control. So I'll say populate a list control with data. That's the same rule that was added in the initialize event. And we'll populate the multi-select control. And here we have to configure the data. And we'll do where genre ID is equal to what was in the drop-down list. So every time this drop-down list is changed for genre, this will repopulate. This one I would probably make synchronous just because that was within the form itself, so I don't think the performance should be too bad. But you probably could make it asynchronous too. All right, so let's choose action. We have The Dark Knight, documentary, The Godfather, drama, several, and that's it. So that's how you make some cascading data there. Just a note, I think this will be reset every time we do this because it doesn't have that value there to select from. That's how you do a cascading dropdown. Now, just to mention too, we can configure this cascading here in the filter according to another one, but we just did that with the rules. What it does there when you're doing that is just adding the rule for you. But I think it's easier just to add the rule yourself and understand the mechanics behind it. There's another type of control I want to look at here too. Also a lookup type control, and this is called a picker. So for these movies, I think I have like 20 in there right now, something like that, not too many. It's still not a huge list, but you probably wouldn't want to go through in something like a drop-down list to see hundreds of movies if it was there. You'd probably actually want to search for one. So you could do this through a picker control. So I drag the picker onto the canvas, and here I have the same configuration. This one we can't use static values, logically. And here I'll use my movie smart object. And I'll put the movie title in. We'll go with release date here too. I'll save that. Well, there's one thing to mention here. So when I add a picker control, well, let's see how this works first. We'll refresh it. I can put in a movie here. So whatever, get tab out, and I have the value there. This control takes a little bit of getting used to. So if I just put F in there and try to enter, it doesn't automatically give me the list below. I actually have to click on it to see everything that I have there. What I normally do is instruct users to use this magnifying list glass, and then press this button to see the full list of movies if needed, and then it kind of works how you want it to. So it's a little bit easier that way. I'll click OK. Now, we have this value here. And if we go to the initialize rules, there is not an additional rule for this picker control here. What we have instead is on the control itself, a rule that is added when the picker is resolving. So if we need to filter this there, we can do it right here. We have this asynchronously populate the picker control with data. And the filters, I think, will actually automatically come from the control. And we have a sort here if needed to. But just to note that this control, a picker control, has a resolving rule when the picker is resolving to actually populate the control. So let's just take a quick look at the web request. My F12 not working. There we go. So here, my form is loaded. I have two AJAX calls that populate this one and this one. I'll clear these. When I choose one of these selections here, the populate here is called, so another AJAX call to the server to get the data. And when I type here, there should be a number of calls. Forced. Actually, I don't see them as AJAX calls, but what are they in as? Maybe it's cached already. Whatever. Let's see. There we go. There's an AJAX call when I search them there. I don't know what magic is happening here where we don't do that. There we go. There's the AJAX call. Finally. Whew. I was thinking about giving up on that. Like the other controls too, we can access the properties as needed from this. So if I wanted to make it data label and transfer data when this is changed. So a new rule, say transfer data. So from the picker control, from the smart object itself, I have this, the title, director. I could probably make this a little bit nicer, you know, put some HTML in here or something like that. BR tags. We'll put this in bold tags. Not sure if this will render exactly how I want it. And this one, we'll make italics just to be super fancy here. I would probably definitely do this in a different way if doing this for a customer or on production. But let's take a look. We just got to make sure to make this as literal too, so the HTML renders. All right, I'm saved, refreshed. Forrest, who is the director? I don't know. Huh? Is there no Forrest Gump in here? I see Forrest. Oh, 2 R's in Forrest. Forrest Gump. Ah, Robert Zemeckis. So there we go. We have all the information from our pickers. I think that's about it that I need to mention with these picker controls. Very useful. Make sure to make them asynchronous in the initializing rule, or as much as possible. And yeah, it's a pretty powerful feature. There's one more thing I do want to mention that I just remember now, and that's repopulating controls. So with these controls, picker controls, we want to repopulate them with the value, not the display value. So for example here, I'm going to make a text box. Let's see, text box. And I'm going to add a rule to the text box. Text box genre, we'll call it. And we'll say when the control is changed, transfer data. And then we'll transfer a value, whatever we put in the text box, into the picker control. So this would also be the same scenario if you loaded it from a smart object. I'll save that, go back, I'm going to refresh. I have my genre list populated here. And now if I change it, I got to actually click off the control. Oh, looks like I did that with my picker control. I meant to do that with the dropdown list. Let me just do that again. Put that into the picker, not to the dropdown. Genre. Here we go. And I refresh this. I see my values here. If I set this to 1, move off, I see that one. If I set it to 6, I see that one. Everything like that. So we always want to repopulate with the value. And also, when you're initializing the form, the value can be there before the controls are actually initialized. So if that's, yeah, close in the process. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's any follow-up questions here for pickers and controls. And yeah, maybe I can answer them. Have a good day. Thank you.